Hour to the latest in finance, and we are joined this morning by Jessica Amir, market strategist at the trading platform at Moomoo. Jess, good morning to you. What's been happening on the international markets, firstly?
Good morning. Well, a pretty busy morning, Thomas. I guess overall, big picture, we did have a bit of reprieve from the selling that we've seen that's come on thick and fast of late. And that's for two main reasons, Thomas. So we had US data come out overnight, basically showing the Federal Reserve can refrain from putting their foot on the gas with further interest rate increases. So good news there. Plus, adding into that thinking, a big contributor to inflation, that being oil. The oil price fell 5%. So that's also adding into the equation and the thinking that selling in the share market could be overdone. So in terms of companies that saw the most buying, obviously moving their needles higher, we saw Tesla, the biggest car maker in the world in terms of EV sales, their shares gained 5%. So they led most of the gains higher overnight and most of the tech stocks higher. So we also saw Microsoft up almost 2%, let's call it 1.6%, and the Google parent Alphabet also up about 2%. So all in all, look, these gains pushed the major indices higher after they ended the day before, Thomas, down at 4-month lows. So it's also important to note, though, what has been spooking markets of late into almost correction territory. Overall, they are kind of down about 8% from their highs. What is leading that selling and causing it is also US government bond yields. So a borrowing bond is paying a higher yield than the three major US indices combined. So that is why we've seen money coming out of equities. But overnight, the good news is US government bond yields actually fell.
Right.
So all these conditions saw the indices end higher. The Nasdaq is up, and the S&P 500 is up about 0.5%.
Okay, so what can we expect in the local front today, Jess?
Well, we did have a lot of movement in commodities, and we know that our Aussie share market is mainly made up of commodity companies. Let's call it about 30%. So that is going to have a big impact on our market today. But all in all, if we think about the market now, it should theoretically have a positive day by the skin of its teeth. The futures are up about 0.1%. But if we just touch on the commodity moves, if we can, we did mention that the oil price is down 5%, and that's on concerns that demand is slowing. And across the board in commodities, that are, heavily dependent on a lot of profitability for some of our biggest companies like BHP and Rio Tinto, well, the commodity prices fell heavily. So the copper price is down about 0.6%. The aluminium price is down 1.3%. So these moves are probably going to be reflected in BHP and Rio's shares today. On the economic news front, Thomas, a bit to unpack as well, but not very exciting for most. Imports and export data out for Australia for August will be released. The prior readings are a little bit not attractive. I mean, we've got exports going down. Obviously, our biggest export customer is China, and their economy's in contraction phase. So that's something to consider. Will exports turn around and move up? Something to consider as well, Thomas, what is also causing selling in commodities is, of course, we've still got China on a week-long holiday for their autumn festival. So I guess once China comes out of their holiday, you might expect commodity buying to pick up, and that could reverse things for commodities in some of our biggest companies on the ASX.
Before I let you go, how's the Aussie dollar looking this morning?
Well, it's green, which is good, but it's still being pressured lower. I guess in terms of dollars and cents, the Aussie dollar is buying 63.28 US cents, but it's still being pressured overall by that higher US dollar. But speaking of the US dollar, all in all, the DXY index, which tracks the US dollar, that has pared back a bit. So I guess watch this space until we get more economic news out of the US, and that'll basically dictate the course of the Aussie dollar.
Good on you, Jess. Thanks for joining us. Jessica Amir, their market strategist at the trading platform at Moomoo, with the latest in finance this Thursday morning.